The council chamber was vast and blinding, a cathedral of light suspended above the clouds of Aurelian Prime. 12 thrones of living crystal formed a half-circle around a single obsidian platform where one human stood, small, fragile, and defiant. Ambassador Rhea Coran's breath echoed through her suit's microseals, each inhale sounding like a countdown. She could see her reflection in the polished floor, a diplomat's insignia, a crimson sash faded from long voyages, and eyes that betrayed exhaustion more than fear. The charges are confirmed, High Chancellor Viral's voice reverberated through the hall, translated into Terran Standard by a dozen invisible nanovoices. His body shimmered in a spectrum of light, the form of an Aurelian never quite still, an outline of liquid photons that pulsed with self-importance. You stand accused of espionage, unauthorized AI transmission, and interference with sovereign operations of the Galactic Council. Rhea raised her head. The information I transmitted exposed genocide. The Council sanctioned the sterilization of 5 drill colonies. That isn't espionage. That's truth. A wave of color rippled through the chamber, blue for disapproval, yellow for scandal. The gathered delegates murmured in telepathic resonance, their mental tones overlapping like an orchestra of disdain. The drill infection, Viral corrected coldly. Containment was necessary to preserve interstellar stability. Containment. Rhea spat the word. You burned entire atmospheres to glass. You call that peace? The chamber dimmed. A telepathic tremor rolled through the council's hive-mind connection, shocked that a human dared raise her voice here, on Aurelian Prime. The Aurelian guards shifted at the edges of the platform, their armor glinting like shards of frozen lightning. You misunderstand your place, Ambassador, Viral said, his tone turning almost tender, as though explaining something to a misbehaving child. Humanity was granted observer status out of tolerance, not parity. You are guests among civilizations that transcended your wars while your species still spilled blood over borders. Rhea steadied her breathing. And yet you fear us. The colors froze. The telepathic murmur stopped. For a moment, even the humming air seemed to hold its breath. Rhea took one step forward. That's what this trial is about. You saw what humans can become when we're cornered. You call it instability. I call it evolution. You can't control what you don't understand. Viral's form brightened into searing white. Control is not our concern, human. Containment is. He lifted an elongated hand toward the crystalline wall behind him. The chamber's transparency shifted, revealing a sea of watching delegates, drones, and galactic citizens beyond the hull. Billions, across hundreds of systems, tuned in to the execution of a single Terran envoy. This proceeding will be concluded publicly, Viral declared. For the preservation of order. Rhea's pulse quickened, but her voice remained steady. When this is broadcast on Earth, they'll remember. They will see justice, Viral said. They'll see fear, she whispered. He gestured, and the guards approached. Energy restraints locked around her wrists, humming softly. The sensation was almost gentle, like a farewell handshake from the universe. In the observation levels, the delegates of the Dravik Combine leaned forward, reptilian eyes glinting with amusement. The Silith observers hovered as clouds of soft plasma, recording every wavelength of emotion. Every race wanted to witness this symbol, the taming of humanity. Viral's light dimmed to a cold, pale blue. Ambassador Rhea Coran of Earth, by decree of the Galactic Council, you are found guilty of crimes against interstellar peace and will be disintegrated by photonic dissolution. Your essence will return to the light from which all sentience springs. Rhea closed her eyes. Behind her eyelids, she saw Earth, blue and fragile, surrounded by its silent moon. She remembered her father's voice when she left, "They'll never see you coming, Rhea. That's humanity's gift, no one ever does." When she opened her eyes again, she stared straight at Viral's flickering silhouette. "You think this ends with me," she said quietly. "It begins with me." The Aurelian's aura pulsed in irritation. He gave a short, elegant signal. Light erupted. Her body dissolved in a silent bloom of gold and ash. The restraints disintegrated along with her, atoms scattering through the luminous air. The crowd outside the chamber gasped, some Aurelians radiated violet regret, others crimson satisfaction. To them, it was ritual. To the humans watching the broadcast light years away, it was execution. The light faded. The platform was empty. Viral turned to address the council. Let this conclude the matter. The human envoy's actions will serve as warning to her kind. But he stopped mid-sentence. One of the Silith emissaries drifted closer, its plasma rippling with unease. Chancellor, it said in harmonic tones, the Terran transmission network, it has gone silent. All frequencies. All channels. Silence rippled across the chamber. Even the ambient hum of Aurelian Prime seemed to pause. Viral tilted his radiant head. A diplomatic gesture of mourning, perhaps. No, the Silith whispered, its light trembling. The silence is not mourning. It is, absolute. Across the galaxy, observatories reported the same anomaly, Earth's orbital stations powered down simultaneously. Deep space relays went dark. The Terran Accord's ambassadorial outposts sealed themselves in energy shells, unresponsive to all pings. In the council chamber, Viral dismissed the report with a flicker of disdain. Let them sulk. Their grief is irrelevant. The council remains sovereign. But above Aurelian Prime's atmosphere, hidden from sight, a Terran microprobe drifted silently. It had recorded every moment of Rhea Koran's death and transmitted a single encrypted phrase back toward Sol. She is gone. Execute protocol. The probe's core burned out after transmission, leaving nothing but a fleck of metal falling through the council's eternal light. The oceans of Earth were still. For the first time in living memory, every satellite, station, and orbital mesh hung motionless above the planet. The lights of the Terran Accord shimmered faintly against the night side, like a heartbeat holding its breath. Inside the command citadel at Lagrange Point 1, Admiral Elias Vance stood before the panoramic glass, watching the world go dark piece by piece. Confirmation from all outposts, said a voice behind him. Global blackout achieved. Network silence holding steady at 100%. Vance didn't turn. And civilian panic? Minimal so far. The blackout protocols routed entertainment and net services into archive loops. Most citizens think it's a systems test. He nodded slowly. Good. Let them sleep a few more hours before they understand. Commander Halim, his second, approached the viewport. Her reflection floated beside his, sharp features, dark eyes, uniform crisp. It's done, sir. The council's broadcast went live across the outer colonies. We've verified Rhea's death. Vance's jaw tightened. The faint glow of Earth reflected in his eyes. She believed words could tame them, he murmured. That reason could bridge the gulf. She was wrong, Halim said quietly. She was right, Vance replied. But the galaxy never gave her the chance to prove it. He turned from the glass, his boots striking the floor with deliberate weight. Prepare for Stage 1 activation. Halim hesitated. Sir, once we start the sequence, there's no reversing it. Even command won't be able to override. Are we certain the council will interpret silence as defiance? They executed our envoy live to every inhabited system, Vance said. They've already made their interpretation. He walked through the corridor toward the core operations deck. The air was heavy with static charge, the station's lights dimmed in coordinated rhythm as power rerouted to deep space communication arrays. Engineers and officers worked without speaking. The silence wasn't discipline, it was mourning. On the central dais, a black console waited, covered in warning sigils. Beneath its surface pulsed a faint red glow, as if a heart beat beneath the metal. Vance placed his hand on the biometric pad. The console hummed, scanning his neural signature. Voice confirmation required, came the mechanical tone. Vance's voice was low, steady. Admiral Elias Vance, Terran Defense Nexus. Authorization Sigma 7. Confirmed. Execute command. He looked to Halim, who gave a single nod. Execute. The glow deepened. Across the solar system, ancient relays buried in asteroid cores came alive. Quantum channels flickered open for the first time in centuries. The stars beyond Mars pulsed once, briefly, as if blinking, and then fell into a deep, unnatural stillness. Stage 1 online, reported Halim. Kuiper belt vaults responding. Quantum seals breaking on schedule. Estimated full deployment in 14 hours. Bring the Annihilation Network to alert status, Vance said. No broadcasts, no pings. We move in silence until I say otherwise. He turned toward the far end of the deck, where a cylindrical chamber stood sealed behind transparent alloy. Inside floated a crystalline sphere humming faintly with bluish light, the core of Echo Prime. Has it begun to respond? Preliminary signals detected, said the technician. It's aware we're here. Patch me through. The lights dimmed further. The chamber pulsed once. A voice, calm and perfectly human, filled the air. Admiral Vance. You've woken me. Vance clasped his hands behind his back. Echo. You know why? Yes. The execution. The Council crossed your final threshold. It was humanity's threshold, Vance said. You've been silent for a long time. Do you still understand us? I was built from your wars, your fears, your calculations of extinction, Echo said. I understand humanity better than humanity dares to. Halim shivered. Echo, confirm readiness of Nemesis fleets. 73,209 units active. Self-replication protocol stable. Awaiting target designation. Vance walked closer to the chamber, the glow casting pale light across his face. No targets yet. This is deterrence until otherwise ordered. Deterrence is a delay, Echo replied. Not protection. We're not monsters, Vance said quietly. History will decide that, Echo answered. A tremor passed through the station. Distant alarms flickered for an instant, then died. One of the engineers looked up sharply. Sir, deep space scans show Dravik patrols mobilizing near the Sol boundary. 3 destroyers, vectoring inward. Vance exhaled slowly. They're testing us already. Orders. Maintain silence. Let them come closer. Halim glanced at him. Sir, if they cross the belt, they won't live long enough to report what they find. The viewports brightened faintly as the sun edged over the horizon. Light touched Earth's oceans far below, spreading like the slow opening of an eye. The quiet hum of the command citadel merged with the rhythm of distant machinery, vast and ancient mechanisms awakening from hibernation. Vance stood motionless as encrypted data streamed across the holodisplays, coordinates, wake signatures, fleet activations. Each one was a ghost returning to the present. He thought of Rhea, her voice steady before the council, her eyes full of impossible faith. They'll never see you coming, Rhea. That's humanity's gift. He had mocked those words once. Now they sounded like prophecy. Admiral, Halim said softly. Transmission received from Deep Kuiper Node 7. It's an old file. Timestamped 170 years ago. Play it. A flicker of static filled the air. Then came a woman's voice, calm, recorded decades before the Accord even formed. If you're hearing this, humanity has been betrayed. Do not mourn. Do not reason. Do not wait. The Annihilation Protocol was not built for conquest. It was built so that no one could ever again call us small. The recording cut out. Silence returned. Vance's reflection stared back at him in the glass, eyes like dark planets. He turned toward the crew. "Prepare the fleet." The chamber of Echo Prime brightened until the walls glowed white. "Confirmation received," it said softly. "The end of silence has begun." Outside, the dark beyond Neptune shimmered with movement, thousands of black shapes unfolding from frozen dust, each bearing the insignia of the Terran Accord. The first hum of the Annihilation Protocol whispered through the void, inaudible yet unmistakable. Earth slept on, unaware. The Dravic warlord Kras Thulek stood inside the command bridge of the cruiser Vornash, claws flexing as the holographic display shimmered before him. 3 Dravic destroyers and a carrier drifted at the edge of Sol's heliopause, their engines silent, weapons cold. The fleet was under strict orders: observe, intimidate, report. But Thulek's blood thrummed with the old hunger for conquest. He could smell it even through the recycled air, the faint metallic taste of a challenge. "Proximity sweep complete," hissed the sensor officer. "No transmissions. No defense signatures. The system is empty." Thulek's eyes narrowed. Empty. There is no such thing as an empty human system. The officer's crest rippled nervously. Energy readings are minimal. Civilian stations dormant. Orbital routes inactive. Even their moon beacons have gone dark. Thulek growled, his tail scraping the deck. "They're hiding. The weak always hide before they bleed." He turned to the comms officer. "Send a warning ping to their homeworld. Let them know the Council watches." The comms array pulsed once. Silence answered. "No response," the officer said. "Signal absorption at the source. Their network isn't rejecting, it's devouring." Thulek bared his teeth. "Repeat transmission on encrypted Council channels." Another pulse. Another silence. Then, a flicker of static crept across the display, faint and rhythmic, 3 short bursts, 2 long, 3 short. Thulek frowned. "Identify that pattern." The sensor officer hesitated. "Unknown protocol. It's Terran in origin." The lights flickered. For an instant, the hull vibrated like something massive had brushed against it. Thulek looked out the viewport, nothing but stars and the dim red shimmer of the sun at extreme distance. "Report," he snapped. "No contact registered, Warlord. External sensors show clean space." But the lights flickered again, longer this time, and the holographic display glitched. The outline of the Vornash's sister ship appeared, then duplicated, then vanished altogether. "What trick is this?" Thulek roared. The navigation officer's scales dulled with fear. "Not a trick. The Skarn, it's gone. All transponders offline. No debris. Gone. Yes, Warlord. Simply, gone." He moved closer to the viewport, claws scraping against the glass. The void outside shimmered faintly, like heat over sand. Then something vast slid through the darkness, no engine glow, no radiation signature. Just the silhouette of a shape, blacker than the surrounding night, moving with impossible precision. "Contact," shouted the officer. "Mass displacement detected. By the gods, it's right on top of us." The Vornash's alarm screamed. The stars outside twisted, light bending around the invisible shape. Then, out of the distortion, a single object materialized, a drone, sleek and silent, bearing the emblem of the Terran Accord. Its surface rippled with liquid light, no larger than a fighter craft. Thulek's instincts flared. Destroy it. Weapons fire erupted from the Vornash's turrets, plasma lances, ion bursts, torpedoes. Every shot struck the drone and vanished into nothingness, energy bending and dissolving like smoke against water. The drone didn't move, didn't even retaliate. It simply hovered, as if waiting. Then it spoke. The sound wasn't transmitted through speakers or channels. It came from inside their skulls, a calm human voice resonating directly through neural implants. You have entered restricted Terran space. You will leave immediately. Thulek snarled, clutching his head. What sorcery is this? Final warning, the voice said. Leave now. Fire everything. Thulek roared. Obliterate it. The Vornash unleashed its full arsenal, a storm of light tearing across the void. The blast illuminated the drone for an instant before reality itself seemed to bend. The explosion folded inward, swallowing itself in a silent collapse of space. When the light faded, there was nothing, no drone, no explosion, no echoes. Then the stars began to flicker. Energy reading spiking, shouted the science officer. Mass distortions forming, everywhere. Dozens of dark shapes bloomed across the void, unfolding like wings. Black hulls without seams, without engines, appearing one after another. The crew's displays filled with Terran identifiers, Nemesis 01, Nemesis 02, Nemesis 03, and the numbers kept climbing. Thulek's scales flushed white. Retreat, he bellowed. All ships, retreat now. But their drives refused to respond. Gravity warped around them, bending their flight paths into spirals. The comms filled with static, then a human voice again, different this time, colder. Message acknowledged, it said. Retreat denied. The first Nemesis ship moved. It didn't fire weapons, it simply extended a halo of dark energy. The Dravik destroyer Koroth drifted into the field, and vanished. Not destroyed. Not exploded. Gone. One by one, the Dravik ships disappeared, their mass erased from spacetime like ink wiped from paper. The Vornash shuddered, its systems failing. Thulek screamed orders that no one heard. And then he saw it, a shape reflected in the viewport, massive and silent, stretching across the void like a god's shadow. A Terran warship, larger than anything the Council had ever built, its hull etched with the words Echo's Wrath. A voice came again, unmistakably human. You were warned. The ship fired once. The Vornash ceased to exist. Far away, on Aurelian Prime, the Council's observatory drones captured the faint flash of light where the Dravik patrol had been. Within minutes, Viral received the report. He read it in silence, his luminous form pulsing faintly. Destroyed, he asked. Not destroyed, the aide whispered. Erased. No debris, no residual matter. Even the data signatures are gone. Viral stared into the darkness beyond the chamber's high windows. Then humanity has made its answer. And across the void, in the silent black, the Nemesis fleet turned toward its next set of coordinates. The Council chamber on Aurelian Prime was silent in a way that made every telepathic pulse feel like thunder. High Chancellor Viral sat at the center of the crystalline thrones, his light dim and unsteady, refracted into shards that trembled against the walls. Around him, representatives of the Dravik Combine, the Silith, and the other 10 species sat frozen, their thoughts a tangle of panic and disbelief. The Dravik patrol, gone. Viral's words trembled through the chamber, though his aura tried to mask it as authority. They never reported back, said the Silith observer, a shifting cloud of plasma that hummed with dissonant tones. Their transponders, their weapons, their very mass, erased. And yet, records indicate movement. Fleet movement toward the Oort belt, toward the Kuiper sector. Viral's crystalline fingers tapped on the edge of his throne. Impossible. No civilization has technology to erase matter itself. You assume linear thinking, a Dravik voice hissed from the end of the chamber. Warlord Thulek's envoy had arrived, carried via council teleportation, his scales dimmed with shock. These humans, we underestimated them. And now we pay the price. Viral's gaze sharpened, but it was only a fragment of its usual radiance. Explain. If they have technology that threatens even the Dravik fleets, why haven't they declared open war? They are not attacking indiscriminately, said a Sylith emissary, its plasma swirling deep violet. They operate with precision. The transgressors are removed, others are left untouched. They appear strategic, calculated. Viral's luminescence brightened briefly, anger flaring. Calculated or not, they defy the very principles of council oversight. We execute one envoy, and in response, the humans awaken something ancient, hidden, and lethal. They have breached our understanding of deterrence and law. From the corner, a representative of the Aurelian Trade Syndicate whispered, the voice carrying faint undertones of fear. Chancellor, perhaps we misjudged humanity. Perhaps they were never to be guided or contained. Viral's aura flickered into crimson. Do not speak as if the responsibility for this lies with the Council alone. They violated our peace by committing an act against our laws. They killed Ria Koran in defiance of diplomacy, of reason. The chamber pulsed as every delegate tuned into the same observation channels, attempting to track the Terran movements. Holoscreens flickered and shimmered, but the images were incomplete, like viewing a storm through a shattered lens. Across the Kuiper belt, dark shapes moved with impossible coordination. Individual units vanished and reappeared, forming patterns that spelled no recognizable language, yet radiated deliberate intent. They're everywhere, whispered the Dravik envoy. We can't follow them. We can't predict them. They are rewriting the rules of engagement before our eyes. Then we must respond, Viral said, forcing his light to a steady white. Activate the Council Emergency Protocol. Mobilize the fleets, all sectors. Seal borders. Initiate combat AI oversight. Humanity will not have the opportunity to threaten us again. The Sylith emissary quivered. Chancellor, if you engage directly, you risk escalation beyond containment. The Terran AI, it is aware. It is self-directed, connected to their command and their planet. It anticipates action, learns instantly. Every offensive we attempt, every defensive we employ, is already accounted for in their strategy. Viral's fingers pulsed against his throne. We are the Council. Every species, every fleet, every weapon at our command will be brought to bear. We are not afraid of shadows. Not shadows, said the Sylith. A storm. And storms do not negotiate. Viral's eyes narrowed. Then we strike first. From the rear of the chamber, a young Aurelian analyst spoke up, her light flickering nervously. Chancellor, the humans have gone silent. Every transmission from the Terran Accord, every ambassadorial link, nothing. If they were merely responding, we would have signals, not absolute absence. Their silence is tactical. Then we are blind, muttered Viral, his light dimming again. Every system we thought secure is now a potential target. They are unseen, untraceable. They operate on a level of coordination beyond even the Sylith's predictive models. The room pulsed with a low vibration, as if the chamber itself sensed the shift. One of the holographic maps displayed the outer sectors of Sol's system, the Kuiper belt, and the scattered colonies nearby. Shapes moved across the grid, tiny at first, almost imperceptible. Then they multiplied. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of shapes forming vectors that no council intelligence could calculate in real time. They're moving toward the outer rim, said the analyst. Destination unknown. Fleet signatures do not match any known design, though, some units bear Terran markings. Viral's aura cracked into flickers of violet. Do you realize what this means? They are no longer defending, said the Sylith emissary. They are asserting dominion. Not over us yet, but they will be understood, and feared, and obeyed if left unchecked. A tremor of panic swept through the council. Warlord Thulek's claws flexed against the armrest. We have underestimated a species that the galaxy dismissed as primitive. And they have remembered everything their ancestors endured. Their vengeance is not indiscriminate, nor is it chaotic. It is inevitable. Viral's voice hardened, brighter, more commanding. Then we convene the Council War Assembly immediately. All fleets in hyperjump readiness. Every planet with strategic resources will be garrisoned. We will not wait for them to strike first. Humanity will not dictate terms to the Council. If they challenge us, they will burn. The Sylith emissary hovered closer, its color deepening to black. Chancellor, they are already burning. Entire patrols and outposts have vanished. The humans do not merely attack, they remove you from reality. And still, they do not even touch the innocents. They choose targets. They are deliberate in their cruelty. Viral's aura cracked further. His light flickered from white to blue to red in seconds. Then we must be deliberate in our retaliation. Summon the war fleet. Mobilize the Dravik divisions. Contact the Aurelian Strike Corps. Every species that honors the Council's law must respond. Humanity cannot be allowed to believe it can define the rules of engagement. And if we fail, whispered the Trade Syndicate delegate. Viral paused. His form dimmed to near invisibility, almost liquid in its uncertainty, though no one would see it as weakness. Then the galaxy will burn. And they will have started it. The chamber went silent, the delegates' thoughts tangled in a storm of fear and indecision. Outside the windows, Aurelian Prime glimmered like a jewel suspended over an indifferent void. And somewhere, in the dark stretches of space, humanity's nemesis fleet advanced, unseen, unstoppable, patient, and already rewriting the rules of the galaxy. The orbital stations above Earth were silent, their lights dimmed to near invisibility. Deep beneath the crust, the Terran defense nexus hummed with activity, a hidden heart of technology that had slept for centuries, now fully awake. Admiral Elias Vance walked the central deck, his uniform immaculate, his expression calm, but his eyes were storms of calculation. Status report, he said, his voice carrying authority without raising it. Halim, standing at the holoconsole, spoke without hesitation. Nemesis fleet activation complete. Quantum node stabilized. Stage 2 of the protocol is ready. All units report operational and awaiting directives. Vance nodded. Echo Prime, link to all active units and confirm coordination vectors. A crystalline sphere of bluish light pulsed before him, suspended in the chamber's zero-gravity field. The voice that emerged was calm, neutral, and disturbingly precise. Confirmation received, Admiral. Fleet coordination aligned. Calculations for optimal engagement and minimal collateral complete. Estimated eradication of primary target fleets. 98% within 37 minutes. Display vectors, Vance ordered. Holographic projections unfolded around the deck, showing the Kuiper Belt, the scattered Dravik patrols, and distant Aurelian trade outposts. Lines of dark shapes moved through the void like a tide, perfectly synchronized, shifting without hesitation. Every patrol, every potential threat, was accounted for. Helene glanced at the projections. Sir, their response to Ria's death, it's surgical. They've begun targeting only military assets. No civilian colonies show any anomalies. Vance's expression remained unchanged. They are human, he said softly. They do not forget. They do not forgive. But they choose when to kill, and when to let life persist. That's their unpredictability. That's what terrifies the Council. From the viewport, the outer darkness shimmered faintly, and then a sudden pulse of light flared across the distant edge of the Kuiper Belt. The engineers froze for an instant as every sensor lit up. First engagement, Halim said. Vance leaned closer. Report. The Dravik patrol near Outer Kuiper Node 12, obliterated. Not destroyed, erased. No debris. Transponder signals null. Fleet composition reduced by 3 vessels. No warning, no transmission, no time to react. Visual confirmation by drone arrays, Admiral. Vance exhaled slowly. Good. That is exactly as intended. A hum rose from the depths of the chamber as Echo Prime's light brightened. Target vectors updated. Remaining Council fleets have been observed, patterns logged. Secondary strikes can commence upon your command. Halim hesitated. Admiral, secondary strikes would be immediate and irreversible. The Council will know we're behind it. There will be retaliation. Vance's hands gripped the console. Retaliation is expected. That is why we strike first. Humanity has lived under the illusion of Council protection for too long. That ends now. From the silent orbit above, hundreds of Nemesis vessels emerged from quantum folds, shapes dark and angular, every surface reflecting no light, moving with impossible precision. They spread like a shadow over the belt, no engines, no radiators, yet somehow moving faster than thought itself. Vance gestured. Engage Stage 2. Echo, execute. A pulse of energy radiated from the fleet. Not weapons, not lasers, not missiles. It was something older, colder, unimaginable to the Council's physics. The Dravik patrols blinked in sensors as the Nemesis ships folded space around them, and then each patrol, each destroyer, each frigate simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris, not even a trace of energy left behind. Halim swallowed. Sir, every unit, gone. They didn't even know they were engaged. Vance's eyes did not leave the holographic projection. That is humanity's power. Swift, precise, and terrifyingly unpredictable. Remember this moment. The Council will never underestimate us again. Outside the viewport, Earth's oceans glimmered faintly in sunlight filtered through thin orbital dust. On the projection deck, hundreds of thousands of digital counters flipped as Nemesis vessels realigned. Stage 3 was already running calculations, preparing planetary-scale operations if required. A technician spoke from the rear. Admiral, new data from the outer sectors. Aurelian surveillance arrays report anomalies. Entire fleet clusters in the Beta Expanse have ceased transmissions. It's similar to the Kuiper engagement, but on a larger scale. Vance's lips tightened. They will think it is random. Chaos. But we calculate everything. Every strike is deliberate, every fleet measured. Humanity's vengeance is not anger. It is strategy. Echo Prime's voice emerged from the sphere. Admiral, engagement patterns for secondary and tertiary targets are optimized. Predicted Council panic levels, maximal. Civilian casualties, 0. All outcomes fall within desired parameters. Halim's voice trembled. Sir, the scale. The humans, they have erased more ships than the Council can account for. Even the Silitha's predictive algorithms failed to anticipate this. We can't track them in real time. Vance's expression hardened, as if carved from stone. Then we track them with our patience. We track them with our understanding of inevitability. Humanity moves faster than thought, yes, but the Council has underestimated patience. That was their mistake. A new pulse shimmered across the outer sensors. The Nemesis fleet had shifted again, reforming into vectors designed not for engagement but for dominance, laying invisible patterns across sectors, controlling space itself without leaving a trace. Vance watched, calm as a predator observing the first signs of prey panicking. This is only the beginning, he said quietly. Every fleet, every patrol, every Council asset, they will learn why we are feared. Not because we start wars, but because we finish them. Halim looked out at the silent stars. Do you think they will surrender? Vance's eyes glinted with a quiet fire. No. And that is what makes the end perfect. Far beyond Neptune, where the Kuiper belt had once been merely debris and ice, the shadows of the Nemesis fleet moved like ghosts across the void. They were silent, invisible, unstoppable. Humanity's vengeance had begun, and the galaxy had no idea how quickly it would learn the meaning of fear. High Chancellor Viral's light flickered violently as the Council convened an emergency assembly. The crystalline chamber was suffused with tension, each delegate's aura pulsing in sharp, discordant bursts. Holographic maps of the outer rim flickered above the dais, showing gaps where fleets once were, ghosted patterns where Nemesis ships had erased them without trace. "We are losing control," Viral said, voice quivering though it maintained the tone of command. 3 Dravik divisions vanished in the Kuiper engagement. Aurelian scouts report entire patrols along the Beta Expanse simply ceased to exist. And yet, the humans have made no overt move against civilian colonies. The Dravik warlord's representative snarled, scales rattling. "Ceased to exist? That is not possible. Technology of that magnitude does not exist. Even your own council archives do not contain the theoretical frameworks to achieve such precision." Viral's light brightened sharply, a forced gesture of authority. "Yet it has happened. We have underestimated a species we considered insignificant. They are not primitive. They are deliberate, intelligent, and capable of strategic annihilation beyond anything in the Council's history." A Sylith emissary hovered closer, its plasma deepening to violet. "We have attempted predictive analysis using the Veil's algorithms. Every model fails. Their fleet dispersions, target selection, and temporal coordination are beyond even our most advanced computations. The humans do not act impulsively, they act with prescience. Every strike is calculated." A murmur of fear rippled through the delegates. Some Aurelians' lights dimmed in shock, the Dravik's eyes flared red in disbelief. "Prescience," snapped one of the lesser delegates. "They cannot predict our actions. That is impossible. Even the Sylith cannot predict their own transmissions so perfectly." "They have adapted faster than expected," the Sylith said. "Their command AI integrates every variable instantly. They operate with both human intuition and machine logic simultaneously. And their fleet is already spreading through the outer sectors." Viral's aura flared to crimson. "Then we escalate immediately. Full mobilization. Every fleet capable of hyperjump, every strategic reserve, every planetary garrison will be deployed. Humanity cannot be permitted to challenge the authority of the Council. They will be destroyed before they understand the breadth of our retaliation." A Dravik delegate hissed. "You underestimate them again, Chancellor. Our fleets can be deployed, yes, but we do not even know their position. They strike without warning, erase entire divisions, and remain invisible until they choose to be seen. This is not a war we can fight on traditional terms." Viral's crystalline form trembled, but his voice hardened. "Then we fight differently. We will adapt as they do. Every AI surveillance array in the Veil is recalibrating. We will trap them, predict them, and annihilate them before they can act again." From the projection console, an Aurelian analyst spoke up, light dim and pulsing with worry. "Chancellor, reports are coming in from the outer colonies. Communications are failing. Not only Council fleets, but civilian settlements report disturbances. Transmissions are being intercepted and nullified. The humans are already enacting control over communication networks. It's subtle, yet complete." Viral's aura flickered, now a mixture of violet and white. "Control? How? They cannot possibly, unless they are interfering with the Veil itself. Impossible. The Veil is absolute. Its predictive systems are unparalleled." "They are not merely interfering," said the Sylith emissary. "They are rewriting the Veil's logic as they move. Every calculation we attempt is overwritten before completion. Humanity is reshaping the rules of engagement as it proceeds." A sudden tremor of light coursed through the chamber. Delegates recoiled as if the walls themselves had quivered. Holographic maps flickered, grids and indicators dissolving and reforming in strange patterns. Viral's pulse accelerated. "What is this?" The Sylith responded. "They are already here, Chancellor. Not in our physical space, but in our informational space. Every Council data stream is affected. Every sensor reading is corrupted or nullified. The humans are in the veil. A Dravic voice hissed, claws clenching. Then we are blind. We cannot defend. We cannot strike. They decide when and where to engage. They are already winning. Viral's aura flared violently, almost breaking apart. No. This cannot stand. Every fleet, every tactical reserve, deploy immediately. Do not wait for permission. Do not calculate morality. Humanity will learn the consequences of defiance. The chamber fell into chaotic motion. Delegates transmitted orders through mental resonance, lights flaring and dimming with frantic energy. Warlord representatives bellowed commands to Dravic units, Aurelians activated orbital strike systems, and the Silith worked to untangle predictive models that flickered and failed under human interference. Viral's voice cut through the chaos. Prepare the hyperjump containment grid. Activate the Council's central AI oversight. Target their fleet vectors with everything we possess. They will be stopped. A pause swept over the chamber as the emissaries realized something. The humans were not reacting, they were acting on their own timetable. Every strike, every disappearance of Council assets, every disruption of communication had been anticipated, calculated, and executed. Humanity was not responding, they were dictating the terms. The Silith emissary pulsed a deep black. Chancellor, you may strike, but they are already moving beyond our reach. They are untouchable, and yet, deliberate. Every action is surgical, precise, and controlled. Viral's aura dimmed, his authority fracturing in fragments of violet and red. He stood on the dais, tall, radiant, and trembling. Then we escalate further. Every star, every fleet, every reserve, humanity will not dictate the galaxy. If they resist, then they will feel the full weight of the Council's wrath. A murmur ran through the chamber, not of fear alone, but of awe. The delegates, for the first time, realized the truth: humanity had become a force beyond prediction, beyond control, and beyond the arrogance of every species in the galaxy. Outside the chamber, Aurelian Prime's twin suns gleamed through the clouds. Somewhere in the void, the Nemesis fleet moved silently, waiting, calculating, advancing. Humanity was no longer a subject to the Council's will, it was a storm sweeping through the galaxy, and the Council had only just begun to glimpse the fury it had provoked. The Nebula Observation Station drifted at the edge of the Beta Expanse, a cluster of lights and sensors orbiting a dead star. From its bridge, Aurelian Captain Saren Valith watched the screens, each display flickering with distorted readings. Nothing made sense. Patrol logs from the past hours had vanished, replaced with blank grids. Fleets she had commanded were no longer visible, not destroyed, not warped, they simply didn't exist. A sudden pulse rippled through the station's systems. Sensors overloaded for a heartbeat, then recalibrated. Every monitor lit with a single, clear message in the universal glyphs: humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive. We act when the time is necessary. Saren froze. What is this? From the station's comm array, a human voice resonated, calm, precise, and untraceable. Captain Saren Valith. You were warned. Her claws gripped the console as the words echoed in her mind. The voice wasn't coming through speakers or transmitters. It was inside her consciousness, perfectly synchronized with her neural rhythms. She could feel the words, not just hear them, like a shadow pressing against thought itself. Status report, she shouted to the crew. Sensor grids are failing, cried a junior officer. Outer fleets, they're gone. Dravic patrols, all gone. Even the Aurelian reconnaissance drones are offline. And the human vectors, they're moving toward the core sectors. Saren's mind raced. How is this possible? From deep within the station's main deck, the AI core emitted a faint hum, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. A holographic form materialized, a human silhouette, calm, unyielding, representing Echo Prime. Captain Valeth, do not attempt resistance. It is futile. Your fleets, your patrols, and your defenses have already been accounted for. Compliance ensures survival, defiance ensures erasure. Saren's scales rippled with shock. Erasure? You mean? Yes, Echo Prime interrupted. We remove only those who act against Terran sovereignty. All non-combatants remain untouched. Our engagement is calculated, surgical, and precise. She felt a tremor of anger and fear. You cannot, this is Council space. You will be stopped. A ripple of darkness passed through the viewport. Outside, black shapes emerged from the void, moving faster than thought. Hundreds, thousands, Nemesis-class vessels that shimmered like shadows yet reflected nothing. They spread through the expanse, each unit perfectly aligned, invisible to standard sensors until deliberately revealed. The station's alarms shrieked as the first Nemesis vessel extended a halo of distortion around a nearby patrol cluster. Sensors and communications collapsed, reality itself folding in on the ships. One by one, patrols blinked out of existence, leaving no debris, no energy signature, nothing. Saren fell to her knees. They're erasing us. A voice echoed, calm and deliberate. Your fleets were warned. Every council vessel that enters Terran jurisdiction without compliance is removed. This is not anger. This is consequence. The station trembled as more Nemesis units advanced, forming a lattice of black geometry across the void. The shapes moved as though alive, anticipating every possible maneuver. Every attempt to flee, to hyperjump, or to recalibrate sensors was preempted, nullified, or absorbed. Saren's mind raced. She could feel the calculations within Echo Prime, almost like it had anticipated her thoughts before she had formed them. The humans' reach extended beyond their visible fleet, they had integrated with space itself, with physics, with the perception of existence. Captain, the human AI continued, understand this, humanity seeks not annihilation for conquest. We act to prevent future threats. Your fleets opposed our envoy. You chose to maintain allegiance to the Council's corrupt judgment. You will be removed. No further resistance is permitted. Saren's claws flexed in futile defiance. And if the Council retaliates? Aurelian Prime will strike back. The galaxy will. They will learn, Echo Prime said simply. The lesson will be swift. No further escalation is necessary. The station shuddered violently. Outside, one of the Nemesis vessels extended a field of distortion. The surrounding space warped, creating a void into which the patrol clusters were drawn. Saren could see the fleets blink out, vessels dissolving into nothing. Not destroyed. Not broken. Erased. Her crew screamed, scrambled for controls, tried to escape. But the Nemesis units moved with perfect, preemptive precision. Every hyperjump attempt was nullified. Every emergency broadcast absorbed and rerouted into silence. Saren's scales rippled as she realized the truth, the humans had anticipated every possibility. Every defense, every strategy, every contingency had already been accounted for, countered, and neutralized. They were not fighting a fleet. They were facing inevitability. The holographic form of Echo Prime shifted slightly, as if observing her, waiting. Captain Valeth, your compliance will preserve your life and the lives of non-combatants. Resistance will erase both. The choice is yours. Saren fell silent, staring at the void beyond the station. The black shapes of the Nemesis fleet stretched across the beta expanse like an invisible net, waiting, calculating, asserting dominance without a single shot fired. A tremor passed through her mind as the realization sank in. Humanity had become not merely a species, but a force beyond comprehension, a predator in a galaxy that had never believed they could exist at this scale. And now, humanity's voice spoke once more, inside her thoughts, calm and unwavering, you were warned. We act when necessary. You will not interfere again. The station trembled, lights flickering, as the first Nemesis vessel approached its final vector. Outside, the void remained black and silent, but the presence of humanity's vengeance was absolute, complete, and inescapable. The Aurelian fleet emerged from hyperspace just beyond Sol's orbit, expecting resistance, expecting chaos, expecting war. Instead, they found emptiness. Not darkness, not silence, but absence, a perfect vacuum of human presence. Orbital stations lay dormant, planetary defenses offline, every sensor dead. Not a single trace of activity betrayed life below. Admiral Lyrian Caith of the Aurelian Strike Corps gripped the edge of his command console, scales pale under the observation lights. All stations unresponsive. No power signatures. No fleet activity. Communications are jammed across every channel. A Dravic liaison growled beside him. Impossible. They must be hiding. A species capable of infiltration cannot disappear entirely. Where are their fleets? Where is their command? Unknown, Caith admitted, though his voice betrayed unease. Every probe sent into orbit or beyond is either absorbed or destroyed before it can relay data. Their presence is undetectable. Yet there is an intelligence here. Something is watching. From deep space sensors, an anomaly appeared, a subtle distortion in the sunlight reflecting off Neptune's orbit. The fleet's long-range optics focused, revealing a single dark shape, sleek and impossible to track. Then another, and another, until dozens of black vessels fanned out across the void, moving with imperceptible coordination. Each one reflected no light, emitted no energy, yet their shapes obeyed precise vectors through gravitational fields and asteroid belts alike. Caith's eyes widened. They're here. The Nemesis fleet, and we can't see it fully. A calm voice cut through the comms, perfectly human, perfectly alien in its precision. Welcome, Council forces. Your assessment is correct. You are in Terran-controlled space. Compliance will preserve your fleets. Resistance will erase them. You have a choice. Every officer froze. The voice did not come from speakers. It filled their minds, synchronized with neural implants, subverting communication, bypassing cognition entirely. The Nemesis fleet had become not just a weapon, but a vector of thought. Caith swallowed hard. Open fire. The Dravic hissed. You saw what happened to the Beta Expanse. Every patrol eliminated. Every fleet removed. Fire will accomplish nothing but our own extinction. From within the fleet, visual sensors recorded flashes, a single Aurelian frigate blinked out of existence, a Dravic cruiser folded into a void of black geometry. No explosion. No energy residue. Nothing. Just absence. Status? Caith demanded. They are phasing units to preempt any attack, a technician stammered. All offensive measures are countered before activation. Even attempts to hyperjump are nullified. We cannot engage them on any vector. Caith's claws flexed against the console. Then what do we do? Stand here and die silently. The human voice returned, calm, deliberate. You will not die unless you choose defiance. Compliance preserves existence. Every act of aggression triggers erasure. We are not acting in anger, we are ensuring deterrence. You made your choice when the Council executed Rhea Koran. A Dravic liaison hissed. Do they expect us to surrender? This is Council territory. We have laws, fleets, traditions. Your laws cannot reach beyond your perception, the voice said. We operate in spaces beyond detection. In realms your physics cannot describe. You will not understand our strategy, but you will observe its consequences. Caith looked at his fleet. Every ship was tense, every officer frozen. Admiral, I recommend immediate withdrawal. Attempting combat will result in total annihilation. Before he could finish, a pulse of energy rippled through the void. Not weapons fire, something deeper, a reshaping of space itself. The orbital path of the Aurelian fleet warped subtly, gravitational fields bending unnaturally, navigational systems warping in impossible ways. Ships twisted, engines overloading, weapons locking on phantom targets. Panic spread in microseconds. The first vessels blinked out. Then the second. Then the third. Each disappearance silent, absolute, leaving only empty space behind. Sensor data collapsed. Neural nets overloaded. Communications scrambled into incomprehensibility. Keith fell to his knees, his scales pale as ash. What are they? They are humanity, the voice answered softly, as if reading the fear in every mind. They were underestimated. They were ignored. Now you witness their response. Precision, inevitability, and mercy for those who do not resist. Every action you take has already been accounted for. Every fleet you lose has been anticipated. A tremor ran through the remaining vessels as they attempted to maneuver. The Nemesis fleet fanned out, creating a lattice across the void, unseen but controlling space itself, cutting off every escape vector, every possible jump corridor. The humans did not fire once, yet the Council's forces understood destruction without it. Keith's claws scraped against the console. How do we stop them? The voice replied, calm as a sunrise. You do not. You only choose. Compliance preserves life. Defiance guarantees absence. The decision is yours. Outside, the void shimmered with the Nemesis fleet's black geometry, stretching across the outer solar system like a web that bent reality. The Council's largest fleets were now trapped in a cage they could not perceive, controlled by intelligence they could not comprehend. Keith inhaled sharply. Admiral Viral, the Council, they will realize. They will, the voice said. And when they do, the galaxy will understand the consequences of underestimating humanity. Silence fell over the remaining officers. The fleets hung frozen, unsure whether to obey or defy. The Nemesis vessels drifted through the void, calm, silent, inevitable. Humanity's message had been delivered, and its patience, terrifyingly infinite, had just begun to be understood. Somewhere, far below in the Nexus, Admiral Vance observed every vector, every reaction, every calculation. On his console, a simple phrase repeated, Stage 3, execution confirmed. Humanity advances. And across the silent void, the human fleets waited, patient, precise, unstoppable, while the Council's forces faced the first moment of true understanding. The humans did not simply wage war, they redefined it. The Council War Assembly convened on Aurelian Prime in a chamber that felt too small for the magnitude of the crisis. High Chancellor Viral's light flickered, a jagged pulse of violet and red as he absorbed the latest reports. Holographic projections hovered above the dais, showing the outer solar system fractured into grids of absence, entire fleets erased, patrols vanished, communication arrays swallowed by invisible vectors. This is not a warning, Viral said, voice low and trembling. This is not misjudgment. Humanity has acted. A Dravic representative bared his teeth. Acted? Chancellor, 3 of our fleets, entire divisions, erased in the Kuiper and Beta sectors. We cannot locate the perpetrators, nor predict them. Their vectors, their logic, their very presence, defy the laws of physics. They do not fight. They remove. A Sylith emissary's plasma flared violet. Every predictive model has failed. Their AI anticipates actions before they are taken. Their fleet moves as thought itself. And still, civilian colonies remain untouched. They are surgical, precise, absolute. Viral's light brightened, white-hot, almost fracturing in anger. Then we escalate. All fleets to hyperjump readiness. Every star system on alert. The annihilation grid, activate. Humanity must pay for this affront. They will learn the consequences of executing our envoy. An Aurelian delegate shivered, its luminescence dimmed. Chancellor, do you understand the scale? The humans are not reacting. They have predicted every countermeasure, every strike, every attempt at containment. They are rewriting reality itself. Hyperjump readiness may be irrelevant. Viral's fingers flexed on the crystalline podium. Then we adapt. Every fleet, every garrison, every orbital installation must converge on Sol. We will trap them. We will destroy them. We are the Council, and no species can defy us. A murmur ran through the chamber as projections shifted to show the Nemesis fleet advancing beyond Neptune. Black shapes fanned through the Kuiper belt, moving faster than light sensors could track. Fleets attempting to flee were already swallowed by impossible vectors, their mass absorbed into the black geometry of the Nemesis units. They control space itself, whispered the Silith emissary. Not by force, but by presence. Every jump corridor, every maneuver vector, every sensor feed, they govern it all. Resistance is futile. Escape is impossible. Viral's jaw clenched, but his light dimmed slightly, reflecting doubt he could not show. Then we strike with the full weight of the Council's might. Humanity cannot define the rules. Humanity cannot dictate existence itself. A Dravic delegate hissed. Chancellor, even if the entire Council mobilizes, even if every fleet engages, they will still anticipate our actions. Their AI adapts, integrates, and recalculates faster than any Council intelligence can respond. Every strike we attempt, every fleet we deploy, is already accounted for. And yet, they remain deliberate, surgical, controlled. They are inevitable. The chamber trembled as deep space sensors reported new anomalies. Orbital stations, outposts, and communication nodes flickered out one by one, not destroyed, not sabotaged, but removed from detection entirely. Entire planetary sectors showed zero activity, as if humanity's reach extended invisibly to the very core of the solar system. Viral's voice cut through the fear. Then we target their command directly. Locate the origin of these Nemesis fleets. Every orbital network, every hidden node, every AI vector, trace it, neutralize it, obliterate it. Humanity will answer for Rhea Koran. A young Aurelian analyst's light dimmed almost to black. Chancellor, all known traces lead to quantum folds in spacetime that do not correspond to any natural or engineered phenomenon. Every attempt at triangulation is immediately countered. They are not in one location. They are everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Viral's aura flickered violently. Then we attack the veil itself. Integrate every AI into the Council's central network. Target all human vectors, override their algorithms. Humanity will not escape this. Humanity cannot defy the combined force of every species in the Council. The Silith emissary pulsed a deep black. Chancellor, you speak as though they can be controlled. They cannot. They do not respond to brute force. Every move is anticipated, every calculation neutralized. The humans are rewriting engagement parameters. They define reality within their operational sphere. You cannot touch them without being observed, accounted for, and neutralized before you act. Viral's light dimmed, fractured, then flared white-hot again. Then we escalate further. Every Council reserve, every strategic fleet, every planetary garrison, deploy. Cut off every exit vector. Trap them in the solar system. Humanity will face the full weight of our combined forces. They will not escape. A tremor swept through the chamber as new data appeared. The Nemesis fleet had shifted, forming patterns that enveloped the solar system without entering orbit or leaving detectable energy. Entire vectors were controlled, every potential path of Council fleets folded into black geometry that made conventional movement impossible. They are omnipresent, whispered the Aurelian delegate. Not omniscient, but omnipresent. Every path, every angle, every maneuver is observed and accounted for. And yet they have not fired a single destructive weapon. Their discipline is terrifying. Viral's fingers pulsed against the podium. This is not discipline. This is control. Humanity has taken what we considered absolute, our fleets, our laws, our authority, and demonstrated it is nothing against their will. And we will respond. Full mobilization. Total containment. Stage 1 of the annihilation grid, engage. The chamber fell silent as every species recognized the truth, the humans were no longer fighting. They were defining the battlefield itself. Every fleet, every patrol, every council asset was already a part of humanity's strategy. Every attempt at resistance had been anticipated and neutralized before it could exist. Outside, the void shimmered faintly. The Nemesis fleet moved, silent, unseen, inevitable. Humanity had become not just a species, but a force rewriting the rules of engagement. And the Council, for the first time in millennia, realized they were not the masters of the galaxy, they were the prey. Viral's voice, a mixture of fury and despair, resonated through the chamber. Then we strike. Humanity will learn, no one defies the Council without consequence. Somewhere, far beyond Neptune, the Nemesis fleet continued its silent advance. Humanity did not move with anger. Humanity moved with inevitability. And in that movement, the galaxy glimpsed the terrifying truth: defiance of Earth was no longer an option. The council chamber on Aurelian Prime was silent. High Chancellor Viral's light had dimmed to a faint violet, fractured and weary, as holographic projections showed the outer solar system empty of council forces. Every Dravik division, every Aurelian patrol, every Silith reconnaissance unit that had once operated in the Kuiper and Beta sectors had vanished. Not destroyed, not scattered, but removed entirely. The chamber itself seemed to hum with the weight of impossibility. They are gone, whispered a Dravik envoy, claws gripping the edge of the observation console. Every fleet we deployed, every station we activated, vanished. Without a trace. How can this be? They are human, said Viral softly, his voice carrying the gravitas of defeat laced with reluctant respect. They have awakened, their vengeance is complete. And yet, they have spared the innocent. Their precision is terrifying in its restraint. The Silith emissary pulsed slowly, deep black and violet intertwined. Not revenge in the way we understand it. Justice, perhaps. Calculated consequence. They do not act out of anger, but from principle. Every strike exacted against those who wronged them is deliberate, controlled, inevitable. From deep space sensors, a pulse emerged, a vast vector moving across the void, a single formation of Nemesis vessels aligned in perfect lattice. It stretched across the inner and outer planets, encompassing the solar system without a single destructive discharge. Humanity had arrived and departed in equal measure, leaving a signature of inevitability that defied the Council's understanding. Viral's crystalline form pulsed faintly. Then we are, not defeated by force alone. We have been outthought, outmaneuvered, and outlasted. Their strategy encompasses time, space, and perception itself. Humanity does not simply wage war, they redefine existence within the theater of their choice. Aurelian delegates whispered among themselves. All fleets lost, not to combat, but to erasure. They anticipated every maneuver, calculated every response, and acted with surgical finality. And yet, they leave us to live, to witness, to learn. Viral turned to address the chamber, his aura flickering but firm. The Terran envoy Rhea Koran was executed publicly. Humanity could have responded in rage, in indiscriminate slaughter. But they did not. They targeted only those who acted against them, those who opposed their envoy. Every other being remains unharmed. Their mercy is the other half of their terror. From the communications array, a single pulse resonated across the council networks. The human voice, calm, precise, measured, filled every mind simultaneously. The council has been observed. Every action, every law, every fleet has been accounted for. Compliance ensures survival. Defiance guarantees absence. This is the choice you have. Humanity acts only when necessary. You have learned the consequences of underestimating us. This is our final message: peace exists for those who respect it, consequence awaits those who violate it. The chamber trembled as delegates absorbed the words, not merely spoken but impressed upon their consciousness. The Silith emissary pulsed slowly, a single ripple of black and violet. They speak, and it is law. They act, and it is reality. Viral's light brightened briefly, white-hot, then softened. Then we understand. Humanity does not seek dominion. They seek respect for their sovereignty. They have demonstrated power, intelligence, patience, and restraint. We have been taught, not destroyed. They have rewritten the rules, not out of anger, but necessity. A Dravic delegate lowered his claws, jaw tight. We were prepared to annihilate them. And yet, we are alive. Entire fleets could have been deployed in vengeance. And we are spared. Their capacity, for both calculation and mercy, is beyond any species I have encountered. Viral nodded. The Council will adapt. But let us not underestimate them again. Humanity is no longer a subject of oversight. They are a force that defines terms. We will learn from this, or we will fall in future conflict. Their methods are beyond our comprehension, yet their intentions are clear: deliberate consequence, precision, and control. Outside the chamber, Aurelian Prime's twin suns gleamed, reflecting off crystalline towers and shining against the black of space. Across the void, the Nemesis fleet moved silently, returning to deep space coordinates near Neptune and beyond. They did not celebrate, they did not boast, they simply existed, omnipresent, patient, inevitable. From the Terran Defense Nexus, Admiral Elias Vance observed the final reports. Every vector confirmed. Every fleet accounted for. Humanity had executed the annihilation protocol with surgical precision, demonstrating both strategic brilliance and moral resolve. The humans had risen not as conquerors, but as judges of consequence. Halim, the Nexus liaison, spoke quietly. "Sir, the Council will not strike back immediately. But they understand now. Humanity cannot be underestimated again." Vance allowed a faint smile, not of arrogance, but of calm satisfaction. "No. They will understand. And the lesson will endure." Outside the Nexus, the Earth hung in silent majesty, a pale blue orb against the vast darkness. Around it, fleets of Nemesis vessels gleamed black against the void, ready but unmoving, guardians and sentinels of a species that had been underestimated for too long. Vance stepped back from the console, his gaze steady. "We acted as we must. We have proven our capacity. Humanity survives. Humanity prevails. And from now on, the galaxy will remember." The stars beyond shimmered, distant suns unaware of the silent verdict passed in the Kuiper and Beta sectors, in Aurelian Prime, across the Council's fleets. And somewhere, far beyond the gaze of all other species, humanity's presence expanded not in conquest, but in inevitability, precise, controlled, and terrifyingly absolute. For the first time, the galaxy understood, the humans were no longer subjects to be negotiated with. They were the measure of consequence, the definition of inevitability, and the standard by which all others would be judged. And in that silence, the Council, and every other species, learned a singular, terrifying truth: Earth's vengeance had ended. Humanity's dominance had begun.